Pope Francis is writing a second part to Laudato Si, his landmark letter on concern for the care of the planet. The Vatican says the updated version will include writings on some of the recent extreme weather across 5 continents. No timetable has been set for its release. Laudato Si was the second encyclical by Pope Francis. It was released in 2015. And joining us now in the studio is Andreas Thonhauser, EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief. Andreas, so great to be with you today here in the studio. Tell us a little bit more about the Holy Father writing a second part of Laudato Si, and what will this focus on?
Well, thank you, Tracy, for having me here. And, actually, this came a little bit as a surprise. And then on the other hand, it's not a real surprise because Laudato Si, this topic, this praise of the nature, is really something that has been always very close to Pope Francis. It's been more or less a defining topic of his pontificate. Also, the World Youth Day, for example, which just happened there, this topic of taking care of nature, taking care of the environment, of ecology as a whole was very, very important. It was something that was very present also for the pilgrims. The organization tried not to have any plastic there. They tried to not to also hand out water through means of not having plastic bottles out, but really dispensaries for water where you could fill up your own thing. So it was really something, or an example also for that. The Pope Francis tried to bring ecology also in the mindset of the pilgrims of the World Youth Day. And now we've heard basically in a side remark in a meeting with lawyers who work at and with the Council of Europe that he will write a second part or another letter of Laudato Si. And actually also this was confirmed by Matteo Bruni, the spokesperson of the Vatican. And just today we saw a tweet or on X we saw a message of the Archbishop of Melbourne, who said in a meeting, in an audience with the Holy Father with a group of young people, he already mentioned that as well, that he wants to write something more.
And Andreas, why is this coming now? Why is the Holy Father writing this now?
So this is very interesting. I mean, we honestly don't really know why Pope Francis is writing the sort of a second part of his encyclical now, but it's also interesting to see where he announced it. It was kind of a side note during a meeting with lawyers who are working with and for the Council of Europe. Let me just explain briefly. The Council of Europe is not to be mistaken with the European Union. It's much, much bigger. It has 46 member states. It represents more than close to 800 million people in Europe, including Turkey. And also Russia was part of this organization just till last year and had to leave them because of the war on European soil, of the invasion of Ukraine. The US and the Vatican are both observer states of this organization. And it also operates the European Court of Human Rights. So it's the principal body protecting human rights in Europe. And the meeting was about the protection of human rights, which shows us that Pope Francis usually always combined the care for creation with the care of the most important of all human rights, which is, of course, the protection of life. This was a topic also in the encyclical letter Laudato Si, and we often see these 3 topics combined in Pope Francis' statements and documents, especially when he speaks about the protection of life. This is stop the wars, so especially the one on European soil now in the Ukraine, but also protect the life of the unborn and the elderly, and protect the creation.
Yeah, and you mentioned human rights. And on Friday, Pope Francis is set to meet with Hungary's President Katalin Novak at the Vatican. Talk to us more about this meeting and how it fits into the Holy See's diplomatic relations.
Sure, because, this meeting is almost a tradition because President Novak has been participating for a long time in a Catholic legislators meeting taking place at the end of August in Rome. Also this year she'll be participating there, as we know, and now this meeting with Pope Francis is again scheduled. He will be very interested in meeting here, I have to tell you, because today and during this week, she's also in the Ukraine, meeting with the leadership of the country. And in European media, Hungary has been heavily criticized for their ongoing relationship with Russia and with President Putin. The Economist, a London-based magazine, even ranked the country as #1 amongst the so-called, what they called Putin's Vatican's useful idiots, meaning too much defending or having a too close relationship with President Putin. But it also means that the country can facilitate peace talks, which, of course, the Vatican, which Pope Francis is very, very interested in. And it's actually one of the very, very few countries in Europe that is closest aligned with the Vatican's diplomatic approach to this conflict, which is an immediate end of the war. So I'm sure this will be another interesting topic on the table between President Novak and Pope Francis.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Praying for peace. There, Andreas, thank you so much for being with us today here in the studio. We appreciate it. God bless.